I'm Donald Moffat.
And I'm Heather Menzies. Logan's Run will not be on tonight.
But stay tuned for the Charlie Brown special and the Fat Albert Halloween special.
And we'll be back next Monday night.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
Hi, I'm Alex Ross.
The two pieces are sort of a type. They're both kind of recreations of artwork that existed in the 90s. In fact, this piece here for the Avengers is in most ways a recreation or a tribute to George Perez's poster version from the mid-90s, where he did a shot that featured in it a figure of Captain America that was very similar to what I've done here, positioning of the Vision or positioning of Hawkeye, and I believe a few other elements are very similar to that piece, and it's consciously so. I was building off that inspiration, but I kind of refitted my design to fill out bigger shots of the figures so that I was making a wider composition and getting in a lot of the same characters, but still not quite as many as what George himself did, because George's thing was always to try and get in the maximum amount of content into pieces that he did.
Yeah, podcast, episode 824.
Sure, why not?
Oh,
Doing the Gigantic Jeff dance.
Is that how Gigantic Jeff dances?
824. Are we actually out of number? How many years have we been on? I don't even know.
We've been on since 2010, so 13 years.
What the hell? Well, 3 of those years don't count because of COVID, because they're all smashed into like a month, I think.
Whatever.
We only potted like one time that whole time too.
That's not true.
No, we potted a lot more during COVID than we did any other time of our broadcast history.
Once again, you can set our podcast by the almanac, the Farmer's Almanac. It's harvest time. I suppose it's time for another podcast.
I like that clip you played at the beginning where they let people know the Charlie Brown special and Fat Albert Halloween special.
Hey, I'm wearing a costume. Then I'm going to go and drug every woman I find. Hey.
We're going to be doing 2 pods this week because the time changes. So that means an automatic new pod recording.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow.
Right? I believe.
Yeah.
I always, you know how Star Trek, they time travel by going counterclockwise around the sun, and that's how they time travel. And I always will do screen caps of the Enterprise going around the sun the minutes before the time change. I know.
That's how Superman time traveled too.
Yes, indeed. I know. I'm halfway through Voices of Krypton, that fantastic Superman history book, and I just finished the area in the book about Superman 2 and Supergirl. And now they're just getting into, because they also cover what happened in the comics, and they're getting into the John Byrne Man of Steel era. Really interesting. You know, has a ton of great stories is Jack O'Halloran, Non of the Phantom Zone Kryptonians.
Oh, really?
So Squeaky? He was known as Squeaky because he didn't talk during the movie.
Yeah.
Squeaky.
Exactly. No, he had a man like really does it. Like apparently the whole cast loved Richard Donner. And when they put Dick Lester in instead, they didn't like his directing style compared to Donner's, and they were kind of bummed that they had to finish Superman 2 with him instead of Richard Donner.
Interesting fact that his name in the script was Squeaky until they changed it to Non. Oh.
Nice.
It was like Charles in Charge. Did you know that Charles in Charge? He didn't have a last name in the script.
I did not know that.
For the entire year, for the entire run of the show.
Okay, my buddy, and he figured it out. He actually asked the question himself. Who on Charles in Charge later showed up on Baywatch?
The girl.
No, Nicole Eggert.
Do you have the name?
Nicole Eggert.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
I said this to my wife. Where were we? Oh, we had Keone Young at the store the other day.
Yeah.
It was delightful and fantastic. He has been in everything. He with his foul mouth on Deadwood, where he calls everybody a bad word.
Yeah, I was gonna say easy.
He's like, don't make me say that name, or don't make me say that word. But he was cool. He was telling old Hollywood stories and stuff like that, which were fantastic. Yeah, I forgot where I was going with this.
So he's in the G.I. Joe franchise.
Yeah, he's Storm Shadow, the original Storm Shadow voice. But
Okay.
he's done everything. The way he got his start was so interesting. He was telling us that the kung fu movies that came over, when they were first produced, they were dubbed, but they were dubbed in English with an English accent because it was an English property, Hong Kong or whatever.
Yeah.
So like when they brought him over here, they're like, no, who did the bad dub on these things? So they hired guys like him who would dub these. So that's how he got his start. It was so interesting.
Wow.
I forgot where I was going with this because we were talking about names and Charles in Charge and stuff like that, and then I lost my train of thought. Must be a long day. Must be a Friday night. And
I remember him on the Curb episode he did where he was the chiropractor.
Yeah.
And
you talked about that. Yeah. It
That
said
was very funny.
Larry David actually got the pins put in him by a real chiropractor or something like that to do the show and stuff like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that whole thing is improvised. So then he was busting, Larry David's cojones by asking him if he gets paid as a writer too, on the show. But
no, he's really fun whenever he shows up in TV or films.
Yeah.
So I knew him, and again, as I told you guys when G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Thundercats were happening, I was trying to date women. So it was like, that's nice.
Trying, the operative word.
Yeah, absolutely trying. Yes, and then more times than not succeeding. But again, valiant effort.
You couldn't do them at the same time?
No.
No.
Matt wants to know: did I dress up for Halloween? And did I wear a single glove? I did not. However, I am having serious as I get to be an old man. 59 in a couple weeks, boys.
Oh,
4 weeks away from 59.
You are on the downhill slide of that slope at this point.
My arthritis is really like annoying, and I wake up and it's something that bothers me all the time, and I'm constantly doing this. It almost feels like I'm trying to grab a woman inappropriately.
I go for walks and I do this all the time because
Do you seriously?
I seriously do because it's
okay. Then I feel a little better. But truly, mentioning gloves, I really need to break my gloves up because I think my hands being warmer alleviates the pain.
Yes,
I'm literally considering sleeping with gloves on.
Why do you think all the old people moved to Arizona?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I love that we've been on so long, 13 years, that we've become old. We've literally become old on this show. It's ridiculous.
Yes. I did not dress up this year, but Franco, I saw you talking on line about Halloween costumes when we were kids. And Scooter, the fact that you've got little kids, it seems like the Halloween costumes have gotten that much better. But here's a great example, everybody. I don't know if that's supposed to be Jamie Farr.
That's him. That's him.
Supposed to be Alan Alda, I think. Come on.
That's what I assumed, that it was probably supposed to be Alan Alda. But like what I love, and actually this one is even more slightly like a uniform, even though it's a Halloween costume. But as someone made the observation, I think a stand-up did, that the costumes when we were kids, they didn't look like, with the exception of things like the Superman costume, stuff like this, it was like, well, you're only really identifying yourself as a real super fan of whatever you're dressing up as. Because a lot of times it would just have, like a Spider-Man costume would really more have like, John Romita drawings or whomever on the costume itself. And then you had the horrible, stupid plastic mask. And
I love two things about these types of costumes from the 70s. One, they assumed that you were just a complete bobo because they had to write the name of whatever it was that you're dressing up as on the front of the costume. So this is like MASH 4077th, and you're like, well, what's this from? You know, and you still had people when you went to the door. Oh, what are you dressed up as today, Sonny? Because they didn't know, even though you had 3 channels. You know, and the other thing is these little mask things here that you would put on. They put that little slit in the mouth for you to breathe because you couldn't breathe through this thing. It wasn't like the fabric, like, you know, when we all went through COVID and we had the mask, they were sort of breathable. This stuff was like hard plastic, like covering your face, and you couldn't breathe because it had a small little slit at the mouth. And then the edges, if they cracked and broke, they would slice your face open when you put them on.
Yeah, that little rubber band, you couldn't really wear it before Halloween because if you took it off, that rubber band would snap. So you had to wait until Halloween night to put it on.
These are the crappiest costumes.
So when I was a kid, I tried it on. I tried on one mask. I forgot what it was, but the rubber band came off. So then, you know, my mom or my dad had tried to tie a string. So like we didn't have any string. So, you know, the the cord that you put up, you know, as a clothesline, basically you like rope. My dad had rope. He had to tie it around. So I had like a rope going on the back of my head, but you couldn't tie it to the thing, so it was like a big knot that was showing on the side of the mask. So it was hard. We were so traumatized as kids. I just don't know how we lived to be this long.
Jerry Seinfeld does a really good stand-up bit about Halloween trick-or-treating as a kid. Have you guys ever heard it?
I think probably, yeah.
Yeah, he talks about these costumes we're talking about. He talks about how, you know, you'd have to buy the cheap Superman costume because he likes Superman, and he goes, his mom would make him wear a corduroy coat over the top of it, and then the mask halfway through trick-or-treating would break that rubber band, so he's got the mask off, so he's just walking around in this corduroy coat, and he goes to the house, and the lady's like, what are you supposed to be? And he's like, check out the pants, lady, I'm Superman, give me some candy. And then he said, as he got older, him and his friends would only be out for name candy, so people would be giving out like that generic, like orange and black piece of taffy wrapped up, and he'd throw it, or like the orange marshmallow shaped like a peanut.
Circus
like,
peanuts, yes.
He's like, what's this? We got enough doorstops this year, lady. Thanks. We're looking for Snickers, Kit Kat, M&Ms. Yeah, it's real funny.
Well, that was, and again, I'm dating myself, but if you ever watch the E.T. movie, you know, where they all go trick-or-treating and everybody's in costume walking around, that never happened here on the East Coast because Halloween happens at the end of October here. I don't know about anywhere else in the country, but at the end of October, and you're wearing a jacket. So, like, you want to go as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to because you got to wear a parka because you'll freeze your ass off. And nobody knows you're Spider-Man if you just have the suit on, because then the mask would break and you don't have it, you know. So
it's 6:30 this year, so trick-or-treating here has always been from 6 to 8, and at 6:30 it just turned into a snowstorm. Like a whole bunch, it started snowing like crazy. And all of our kids and their friends are like, I just want to go home, because they were all cold. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And it was a heavy wet snow because this wasn't that cold. But then there was like a layer of about an inch of snow on the ground. It was crazy.
Did you make snowballs and give that away? As
yeah,
candy?
we were making snowballs. Yeah,
no, give it away as candy.
I should have. Yeah,
we had flurries and must have gotten more overnight because the next morning there was ice on my car a little bit. No real accumulation, but no, like you said, Scoot. Yeah, it was like thick flurries that were heavy because of the weather.
Yep.
But no, I remember many Halloween where it was really winter weather. And it's weird because now today it was mid-50s and tomorrow's going to be mid-50s and even I think 60s on Monday.
Same here.
So yeah.
The other thing was, Franco, E.T. takes place in California like the movie does. Not just that it was filmed there, but they're supposed to be in like California. So I also noticed like in that movie it was like daytime during the trick-or-treating. And here it is daytime now because daylight savings has been pushed into November. But as a little kid, daylight savings always started before Halloween. So by the time 6 o'clock rolled around, it was pitch black. Yeah.
By the time 6 o'clock rolled around, when it was 4 p.m, it was dark here. we were going out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Chemdog says, and this shows you the generational difference. My dad would go to the dollar store and get full size candy bars. That's great, man. But by the way,
if you're going to the dollar store, what are you getting? Like, Mike and Mike's chocolate bargain basement chocolate. Yeah, like what kind of candy bars are you?
Yeah,
getting?
exactly. It's like, this is the most popular candy in Stad.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Or my mom, the one year, she bought the knockoff brand of Twix, and they were called Jive. And they're Twix, but they weren't as sweet. There was something bland or something off about them. But yeah, she bought them at Aldi the one year. Jive.
It's funny. My best friend from college, the sponsor, the faculty sponsor of the radio station, my friend Deborah, Debbie. My wife,
Debbie.
Yeah, her husband, great guy, Ron. Ron has for like decades been one of the top executives at Nestle, and they have a plant in Bloomington, Illinois. And a couple years ago, I believe pre-COVID, this great Italian chocolate company bought Nestle, and it's hilarious because even the executives are like, American milk chocolate is crap compared to the rest of the world. And it is. And it's so funny that this high-end chocolatier from Italy is like, all right, well, it's kind of like Coke. Well, they like the formula, so we're gonna make, we're not going to improve Nestle's taste at all. And also, it's a bunch of the new management. It's all these Italian guys that were transplanted over. And Ron was one of the few Americans that really knew how the company works. So he's even in a more valuable position. But yeah, he speaking of chocolate and knockoff chocolate and everything.
Chocolate that I really dislike is Hershey's chocolate. Just like a plain Hershey's bar.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
Oliver loves those.
Oh,
they're good.
If they have almonds in them, it gives it a little bit of a different taste, but just a plain straight Hershey's chocolate.
Sure.
We may have talked about this on the show too, but I have a bunch of useless information in my head. Oh, that's what I was going to bring up. When we had Keanu Young on the show. When we had Keanu Young on the show at the store the other day, he was asking about like he would bring up a story, like he went to Madeline Stowe's wedding, right? And he goes, and she's married to
Brian. Is it Brian Benben?
Brian Benben, right?
The guy from Dream On,
right?
From,
so
the
I
90s
knew that.
HBO or
goes,
80s.
Yeah,
HBO.
he had a show on HBO. I'm like, Dream On, and he goes, and he turned to me at one point because we were talking for a while. He was there for a couple hours, and then I would just bring up all these useless facts, and he's like, how do you know all this stuff? I said, my wife will ask me financial questions or when my son's birthday is. I don't remember any of those. But stupid information like Brian Benben was on Dream On for like 4 seasons, I remember that.
Do you know that? Oh, go on. Finish your story.
I was going to say, stupid, useless information since we're talking about candy. We may have talked about this, but Three Musketeers bars, one of my favorite chocolate bars, used to have 3 flavors.
I vaguely remember that, yes.
Well, it
like
was
a Neapolitan, right?
Well, it was chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry.
Yeah, like a Neapolitan.
And then because of World War II, they cut back on everything and just left it as chocolate. So the nougat, I don't know how you get nougat. But the nougat used to come in 3 different flavors. That's why it was Three Musketeers. So it was vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. But now they only make chocolate.
That's hilarious. By the way,
possibly racist. I'm not sure. But go ahead.
Contrary to product labeling, this is not a fun size. This is a disappointing size. I've got one of these fun size packets of M&Ms.
Yeah.
Too bad they're not Jives.
Yeah, Jives. Yeah.
Do you know what M&Ms? See more useless information. Do you know what M&Ms are named for?
Mars and I forget the other guy.
Yeah, the name of the owners of the company,
the manufacturers.
Yeah.
Right.
Johnny Franco and I were on a couple of weeks ago with Wayne for the Franco's Catching Up show.
Yeah, I saw.
And Wayne, we were asking Wayne about all the Canadian candies, and some of them are. There's one called the Arrow, and it's just chocolate and air.
Oh, I vaguely remember. Yeah, it was like puffed chocolate.
Yeah.
In the center. No, it tasted good. I remember Arrow. My dad was my favorite. And especially when we were little kids. And we're like, so Dad, what was your favorite candy? He's like, well, I like Mary Jane's. Mary Jane's was those little, they're like Starburst, but they're peanut butter.
Yeah, Werther's Originals. I like those.
No, the best was, he goes, oh, and I liked Whiz bars. And I'm like, ew. And he goes, oh no, they were good. And he goes, the jingle was whiz, whiz, best nickel candy bar there is.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I miss those jingles. Like every candy bar, give me a break. They all had those jingles.
Good memory about Brian Benben. He's in the movie I Come in Peace. That's a great, horrible cheeseball sci-fi action movie that he's in. But do you know why Dream On was made?
Because a lot of boobs were in it.
Well, that too, but all the, you know how Martin, Brian Benben's character, was obsessed by the TV he watched when he was a little kid.
Right.
Well, there were all these it was made by Universal Studios, all these TV shows, little anthology shows, half hour and an hour. They were all about to hit public domain unless Universal found a use for them. So they went to John Landis, and he devised the premise of Dream On. And so that way they were able to use those great clips. And there's like Lou Costello I remember being in one clip, tons of stars that all did like 50s television. And yeah, that's why the show was formatted the way that it was. So yeah, beyond the boobs, that's why.
I'm upset that I didn't know that use fact. And you did.
Well, you know, again, you're the man who told me about how Michael Landon blew up Little House on the Prairie.
I sent you guys a picture of Michael Landon the other day.
I know, that's what made me think of it, man. Oh, you're not renewing my show? No, but we're going to use your sets. Are you? Hey, check out the last scene. Boom.
Then he did Highway to Heaven.
Exactly. Yeah. And when that angel used to hitchhike, I believe he used the middle finger to get rides. Hey, NBC. Yeah, thanks a lot. Fantastic.
Hey, that's right. That show, what was it called? Life is a Highway? No.
Highway to Heaven.
Highway to Heaven. And that was on NBC. Yeah, so they knew they had a bankable star with Landon and his hair.
That hair, great hair, man, right till the end.
How did he get to that stage? Like, because he had a good head of hair. So did it just carry over from, Little House on the Prairie? And he was like, oh, this is a good style. I'm gonna stay with this even after the show's done.
Well, I mean, he kind of was around during the invent of the mullet era. So big hair was very. I mean, God, look at Richard Dean Anderson in MacGyver. He had big hair.
Or Patrick Swayze.
Patrick Swayze, good example.
I saw an episode of MacGyver the other day, and Rich Little was in it.
Oh my God,
Dick Butkus.
Oh my God,
and Marion Cunningham was on it.
Marion Ross.
She was a nun, and then Fish, Abe Vigoda.
Abe
Vigoda was a. I'm like, wow, look at all these stars. Yeah,
star-studded MacGyver. That's fantastic.
And he had the mullet, the little mini mullet, because it wasn't a full mullet on MacGyver.
Well, and it was blown out, 80s hair and everything.
I was very disappointed when they brought back the rework of the show, the
new one.
The new one. There was no mullet.
Yeah,
I was very upset.
That was like the main thing. That was when you think of MacGyver, you think of that mullet.
I loved for the Super Bowl the one year where he did the American Express commercial, and they itemized everything you used for the American Express card, and it was MacGyver doing stuff, and it was post Stargate, so it was modern day Richard Dean Anderson. But it's like, oh, that's awesome, he's MacGyver again. So that's and of course Chemdog mentions MacGruber, the fine parody.
MacGruber,
I love MacGruber. Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Didn't he have the TV show on Peacock or something like that?
Yeah, it was funny.
MacGruber TV show, right?
Yeah.
And the movie, of course.
Well, the movie I know, but then they did a TV show not too long ago.
Yep.
The TV show was really good too.
I haven't watched anything.
Gosh, I dropped Peacock.
Me too.
It's free, isn't it?
I'm gonna not anymore. I used to get it because I still have cable, and now they charge you. They don't even give you a free version with commercials.
Yeah, because the WWE's on there, but I don't have it anymore.
I know Chucky dropped it too, and he's like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of pissed, and I'm like, I understand. Also, some of these like bad knockoff candies. I would have loved to have heard the list from. I'm gonna have to watch that catching up to get Wayne's list of Canadian candy.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. What was the other one, Frank? There was a Wonder Bar, which I've tried. It's like kind of like a Butterfinger type candy bar.
Yeah. There's Kit Kats. I like Kit Kats here, but in Japan they have like over 200 flavors of Kit Kat.
Mm-hmm.
Here we only have one.
I didn't know that.
See, again, useless information. That's why I'm here.
But
yeah, in Japan they have like over 200 Kit Kat flavors. Now you start to get these stores in malls that are like specialty candy stores that pop up in malls, and they'll carry like the Kit Kats and stuff like that. But they're not available, like, if you go to the drugstore or whatever,
right.
Candy bar, they don't have. They just have the regular Kit Kat.
Sure. Well, I saw a little bit of your conversation because I know the whatchamacallit bar came up.
Whatchamacallit. They don't have that anymore, do they?
Yeah, they have it.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say, that's Chucky's favorite, but it's not distributed widely.
Yeah.
And there are only certain stores that carry it. And I know
we don't have a lot of it here on
Chucky, I'll buy like 5 or 6 and give them all to him.
Yeah, we have them all over at every store here in Toledo. It's a popular.
We don't have them here. I don't remember seeing them lately. I buy a lot of candy at drugstores.
Matt says I have an Asian supermarket around the corner from my house that carries all the different Kit Kat flavors. That's cool.
Yeah, but do they have 200 of them? Yeah.
Apparently 7-Eleven has a much wider food variety in Japan than we get in the States.
Yeah, they do. Yep.
Like good high-end food, actually, believe it or not. So
if it's 7-Eleven, why are they open 24 hours a day?
I don't know.
And also, why do they have locks on the door if they're open 24 hours a day?
I don't know. I've actually gone to a 7-Eleven where they've had an incident in the back and they have locked the doors. So
maybe that's why.
Back in 5 minutes. We're at 8 minutes. Where are you? So
they had an incident. That's code for I have to go to the bathroom.
Exactly. Yeah. Could be. It's very true. And also now finally there's a couple Circle K's around me, which is like 7-Eleven knockoff, but a lot cheaper. And I got to tell you, man, I can't tell you how many times I have bought. I joined the Circle K club, and I get
it sounds dirty.
every time I go there to get a fountain drink, because I like the carbonation in a fountain drink as opposed to buying a can or a bottle. But because I'm in this club, I don't have to pay for a 40-ounce like Big Gulp size, whatever. I mean, I can get smaller sizes too, but they're all free.
Oh,
pretty good deal. Pretty good deal.
Do you have to put like a message on social media? Hey, we're all going to meet at the Circle K and.
I think that's code for like a sex party or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
At the rest stop on the highway type thing.
The fountain drinks taste better at McDonald's, though. Do you know that, Johnny?
They put the grease from the fries in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Coca-Cola lets them use a different filter than all the other places.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my friend works at a Wendy's, and he told me, he's like, because they have Coke too, but it just doesn't taste as good. It's like watered down. He said the filter that McDonald's uses, the system, is unique to McDonald's, and it's from Coca-Cola, and they only let like McDonald's use it.
Wow.
I
had no idea. I like adding. They also have on their fountain carbonated water, and I will add extra carbonated water to my Coke Zero because it kind of takes away that aftertaste. Coke Zero doesn't have as bad of an aftertaste as Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And the same goes for Pepsi Zero and Diet Pepsi. But I do find that if I add a little bit more carbonation, it takes away a lot of the aftertaste. So I like it. Fascinating, I know.
I don't drink any soda because I'm high on life.
That's beautiful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's interesting. No, Anthony, not at my Circle K. He says I hear that Circle K club members have to leave their keys in. I get it now.
There you go.
There you go. That's the sex party that's happening at Anthony's Circle K.
You know what else sounds like a sex party is Wawa's, which we don't have here, but they have them down in Philadelphia way. Wawa's. You could get big pretzels there. Big soft pretzels.
Never been to I'm aware of the chain, but I've never been to a Wawa.
I was on a road trip once with Mike Pellerito, who's the president of RT Comics over there.
Yep.
And we were in Philadelphia coming back to New York, and he's like, "Oh, I have to make a stop." I'm like, "Gas? No. Something to drink? No. Pit stop? No. I got to get some pretzels at a Wawa." And he goes, "I'm crazy for those things." So we actually had to stop at a Wawa's, and he bought like 20 pretzels.
Wow.
It's crazy because you bring them home.
20 of the big ones?
Yeah, they were like this big, size of your head.
How do they keep? Because those things get stale fast, in my opinion.
You don't care?
I guess not.
I didn't eat them.
Yeah, what the hell? All right, Mike. Good to know. Next time we're in a car together.
Yeah, you got to stop at a Wawa's.
Apparently. All right, I'm going to turn my microphone off as I blow my nose, unless you guys
Ooh.
want it.
Oh, he hates us. Why does he hate us? I can see him blowing his nose, but I can't hear
Yeah,
it.
imagine.
I need a
Makes
visual.
perfect.
No.
Yeah, nobody needs to hear the snot leaving my nose.
Are you
Snot
sick,
is
Johnny?
falling down his nose.
Are you
Aqualung.
sick, Johnny?
You know, I have this weird lingering, and it's not COVID, but I have this weird lingering, like combination of a sore throat and postnasal drip, if you will.
Mm.
So,
Did you get the jab,
Ew.
Johnny?
what's that?
Did you get jabbed
For like flu season or whatever?
for
or-
COVID? Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, COVID updates, sure. But no, I haven't taken any flu shots or anything lately.
Yeah, I got to get the flu shot. Franco
Really?
doesn't get anything now that he doesn't go to school. No
No,
risk.
school. Yeah, I never leave the house. So
Like Artie.
Must be nice. Germ
Artie
free.
didn't even know there was a pandemic till a couple weeks ago.
I live in a bubble of my studio, and this is it.
I understand.
I never leave this space ever.
Oh, something I discovered today that slightly irks me and should irk all of us.
Oh,
Apparently, there's another Oh Yeah podcast on YouTube.
what? What? Where? When? When did this happen?
They've only been doing it for about a year.
What?
They,
Did we just say we were on for 13 years?
I know. Well, that's dude. You might remember a lovely comic book reporter that has worked for a lot of the comic news websites, Bridget Alverson, very sweet lady. Around 2008 or 9, started a kid comic book blog called Word Balloons.
Oh,
And I'm like, hey, you know, I started 3 years ago. Can you come up with an unnamed? Oh no, it's different. I'm like, it really isn't. I don't want the confusion, and I really wouldn't let it go. So finally, she did change it. And for a couple of years, I would see her at conventions, and I'm like, Bridget, thanks again for changing it. And finally, it got to the point where she's like, all right, John, you've thanked me for the last 4 years. Enough. And I'm like, all right, sorry. But yeah, I'm gonna look it up, and I'll even put it on the screen. Everybody, you can
yeah.
see.
Let's get a cease and desist from our lawyers over to this
No
lady.
kidding, man.
What's happening here?
And I forget their previous name. I'll tell you in a second.
Wait, they had a previous name? And
Yes,
then
they had a
changed it to
different
ours?
name. Well, they're apparently also they're apparently a publishing company, and I believe a comics company, which even gets me angry.
What?
Maybe not. Hold on.
That's
Well, it's just Oh Yeah with an exclamation point. And
spelled the same way and everything?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's like that Scout Comics as a kid line called Scoot Comics. But my website is Scoot Comics, and my Twitter and Instagram handle are Scoot Comics. So sometimes people will include me in these posts about Scout Comics. I'm like, no thanks, but here are my comics, and I send them a link to my site.
No, we got to get
Okay.
our lawyers on this right now.
Well, they're not a comic company. They're a record label. Oh Yeah Records.
Oh, still, come on.
Here they are.
No,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm very angry.
we need to do a cease and desist. I'm
They
getting
have
my lawyers
200
on it right now.
They have 264 subscribers.
Well, they should keep the name then because they have more subscribers than we do. Then
No. Well, again, not when we run our show on Word Balloon. Thank you.
They're going to catch us in the episodes.
So prior to them calling themselves Oh Yeah Records, they had the Pink 50s podcast. You can see it on the screen. I believe.
well, let's change it back then. What's happening there?
I don't know what to tell. I know. I'm very annoyed.
Yeah.
So
no.
except no substitute. ChemDog says, is there already a Thought Balloon? Well, there is in terms of the convention, and they predate what we do. But still, again, I think Thought Bubble is the British convention.
Yes, I think
But
you're right.
regardless, I'm okay with Word Bubble and Thought Balloon. That's okay as far as Word Balloon goes. But yeah, I was like, gee, maybe look around and see if your name is being used.
Yeah, did you ever use the Google search thing? Come on.
Dumbasses.
Jeez.
Wow.
More ridiculously innocuous information. You know how Google Images started, right?
Yes.
How?
No, I thought in general, but go ahead.
Oh, in general, it started because of J-Lo. Because she did the Grammys in 2000 and wore that dress, and they had so many people looking for it that they added Google Images to their search engine.
I had no idea. That's hilarious. I had no idea.
Yeah. So now everybody who's listening is going to go look up that dress from J-Lo.
That green one.
Yeah.
And you should take a picture of that dress and send it to Oh Yeah Records, so they can put it up on their website.
That's true.
It's a true story.
I like it.
I'm very upset by this. Very upset by all of this.
Matt says Anthony and he are going to start the Heck Yes podcast comics. Fantastic.
And I'm going to start the Cartoonist by Day podcast.
Well, we should. There was talk of doing there was an Oh Yeah podcast, so we were thinking of doing an Oh No podcast, and that would take place at 12-hour intervals of this one. You know.
Well, it also reminds me of when there was a podcast and they're like, hey, we're going to do the 24-hour podcast. That's never been done before. And I'm like, 2009, me, Mike Norton, Tim Seeley, the Around Comics guys. Yeah, sorry. Not, and I mean, actually even earlier than 2000. I think it was 2007.
Jeez, Louise.
And our feed is still up on iTunes. Chris Crank.
The Crankcast.
Yeah, of the Crankcast with Mike Norton. He has maintained that podcast feed. But yeah, it's like, guess what, boys? I don't know how to break it to you, but it's already been done. But thanks.
Yeah, there's nothing new that's ever going to be able to be done ever, because everything's already been done already.
Then AI will just do everything after that.
Yeah.
Is it Godzilla Day?
It is.
ChemDog says, okay.
I believe
Was that
so.
like the debut of the original movie back in the day?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That useless information, I don't know.
You know, Matt Fraction apparently not only I knew he was a writer on the new upcoming Godzilla TV show.
Monarch.
Yes.
I believe is the name of it.
Talking to Brian Bendis last night, Matt might be the showrunner.
Oh, cool.
Because I know he's Matt and Kelly Sue signed to this great deal years ago with Universal and have been working on Universal TV shows, but also pitching them ideas for series and stuff. And yeah, the way Brian was talking, he's like, "Oh no, Matt, Matt conceived of this and has been with it since day one." And I'm like, "Oh well, I gotta text Matt and get him on when he can talk about it." And,
let's get a set visit going.
Oh hell yeah!
Why can't we do that?
Please. I know.
I want to see. Great. I want to see Godzilla in person. I want to see how tall he actually is. You know.
Yeah, ChemDog says 69 years ago for Godzilla. Now again,
how much urine do you think that thing with Godzilla puts out a day?
Oh,
2-3 swimming pools filled.
I was going to say, enjoy your dinner, everybody.
Yeah, why don't they ever show that in the movies?
Yeah. Well, it mixes in with the water. Like someone is swimming and they're like, "Hey, this water's really warm for miles."
And foamy.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know this. Mike says the trailer starts with an interview with Fraction and the director. That's great.
Wow.
I love Matt. Matt's a great guy. Matt's a terrific
He's a good guy. I like that guy.
I miss him. I haven't seen him forever.
The Marvels teaser trailer on TV that spoils a bunch of stuff in the movie?
No, I have not seen it on TV, but now Rob Burnett told me that, and again, this is kind of like third party, but a good friend of his who's a studio executive saw the movie, not a Marvel studio executive, and said he liked it. He liked the Marvels. So, because I'm hearing a lot of like, I don't know if it's going to be good or not. Word of mouth.
I want to see it. I like those Marvel movies.
Yeah, I'll see it. I like some of them. I like all of them. I feel like building up to Endgame, it was pretty good, but lately they're kind of hit or miss lately.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Hell, Variety had a cover story, like
the fall of the Marvel.
Yeah, is Marvel done or whatever? And it's like I don't think they're done, but I do think that they're in a serious like you might want to refigure the movies coming up because as comic book fans, all of us, the idea of a parallel universe in the comics was fantastic. And I would love when we'd get those JSA, JLA crossovers, all that stuff. I read all the reprints of those in the 70s when I was a little kid. So it was always something. All science fiction has beaten to death the idea of alternate universes that I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's not interesting enough anymore. That's me. I don't know.
Just give us Dr. Doom.
Yeah, no kidding. For real.
It'll happen
Because
eventually.
they're talking about Kang might be done because they got the actors going to trial
Jonathan
and
Majors,
everything,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they might pivot to Doctor Doom as the main villain for this next
Wouldn't
Avengers
hurt.
movie. Yeah.
I've also heard, although literally it's like 2 or 3 years from now, that they might bring back Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And given that there are parallel universes, that's the way to bring them back.
It'd be cool if they brought them back, but it was like a swerve, like they were like kind of bad versions of themselves. Like there's like an Avengers team.
Mirror universes, like
yeah,
that.
Sure.
yeah, that'd be
Sure.
kind of cool. Yeah.
No,
So
I'm for that.
You think it's going to be them, and the actors are confirmed to be in it, but then there's a big twist. But don't spoil the twist in the preview.
Well, you
know?
just did. Come on.
Just advertise, be like they're coming back.
Chemdog says he does enjoy Loki season 2. Meanwhile, Mario says I haven't finished either Secret Invasion or Loki. Yes, Secret Invasion, and
I haven't watched either one of those yet.
a lot of the Marvel TV shows kind of end with a fart rather than anything really significant.
Well,
Mhm.
farts can be exciting, especially if you don't know they're coming.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, you're right, Johnny. They always build up like you don't want to miss this, and then it's like I could have probably missed that.
Because sometimes you're surprised by a fart. You don't know if it's going to be a shark when it's
Right.
coming. That's what I'm saying. So sometimes it's a good ending.
If we had Nick Fury with Mudbutt, then I can appreciate that.
Mudbutt.
Oh, by the way, I also meant to mention, and we
Speaking of Mudbutt,
well, not so
Speaking
much
of
speaking
Mudbutt.
specifically about Mudbutt, but I feel that we, much like Mudbutt and some of our other catchphrases, even though we were all disappointed that Jamie Farr would not do a second cameo for us, we all now use denied not to my interest
yeah,
on a regular basis, at least within the Oh Yeah group.
That
yeah.
is
And
true.
it is very funny because when we're indifferent about something, one of us will post not to my
Not
interest.
to my interest. It is funny.
Denied,
Yeah.
not to my interest.
But, you know, I sometimes get really annoyed at our feed, our chat feed. Sometimes, especially because like one of us is awake at 24
sorry.
hours a day.
I'm
No,
sorry.
it's not just you. It's me. Sometimes it's Art a lot. So like sometimes I'll wake up to like 50 messages from people, like, and I wake up at like 5, 6 in the morning. So I
Yeah.
get like 50, 60 messages sometimes.
Yeah.
But I am so thrilled. I get such a like perverse sense of like joy out of everything that comes through the feed. Like people send the weirdest shit through there. Oh, sorry.
right.
Sorry, I swear. People send the weirdest stuff through, the weirdest pictures. Like I sent the picture of Michael Landon, and that started like this whole feed. It's really funny. I wish people could see it, but I would never post that publicly ever.
No.
Well, I put up a picture of Fred Gwynn as Herman Munster, of course.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you know, I found I didn't remember this, but then I thought about it. And I'm like, oh, I vaguely remember this from the early '80s. First of all, right after the TV show, back in the mid '60s, they did do one color movie called Munster Go Home, where they go to England. And they are spending time in a haunted mansion and stuff. But then in 1981, Yvonne DiCarlo, Fred Gwynn, and Al Lewis, and they had a new Eddie and a new Marilyn, but they did a 1981 Munster movie, and it's horrible, but it's just great to see. I mean, there's little moments of Fred Gwynn being Herman Munster again, and he's so good as Herman. I mean, you gotta love him because he really had that whole. Well, of course, the voice and the laugh, but that whole just childlike attitude,
mannerism, yeah.
You know. But it really delighted me to see them back in the makeup and stuff, and it's like, hey, that's all because as he got older, Fred Gwynn like really was like, please don't bring up Herman Munster, which used to crack me up because I know Howard Stern was like, yeah, get over it, Fred Gwynn. I got news for you. You're gonna die. They're gonna show a picture of Herman Munster, and that's all anyone's gonna remember. So just embrace it.
And he was right.
You're Herman Munster. Deal with it. And I remember he said, Stuttering John, because Gwynn was actually, you guys will appreciate this, Gwynn was a really good cartoonist. And in fact, I saw a half-hour Dick Cavett from the 90s where he was very proud and was showing a couple of his children's books and his illustrations. And they said Stuttering John to this one book signing. And of course, he's all mic'd up and stuff. And he's like, So when you draw, and forgive me, everybody, I'm going to do the voice, but yeah. So when you draw, are you sometimes wearing the Herman Munster outfit? And he goes, John, I'm not going to even dignify that with an answer. Ho ho ho. So, that's funny. I didn't remember that in Munster Go Home. The great British comedian Terry Thomas is in that movie. Hello.
Isn't he the judge in Michael Zambini?
Fred Gwynn is.
Yeah, Fred Gwynn is absolutely.
Two Utes. The Utes. Yeah.
Exactly. And he's great in that. He's great in the Cotton Club. Bob Hoskins is one of the big gangsters, and Fred Gwynn is like his advisor, but also his muscle. And he's really funny in the movie. No, Fred Gwynn was amazing.
Fred Gwynn was a really good actor. Yeah.
Chemdog, you're right. Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis were a great double act. Car 54, man, my favorite Fred Gwynn, Al Lewis combination. Even though Joey Ross,
never mind that. Even more classic than that, and we've talked about this on the show. But those 1-800 commercials, the 1-900 commercial phone lines. You go look at the commercials on YouTube for Al Lewis or Grandpa's Dungeon. You could get a call from him and stuff like that. I worked on all those commercials.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, he has his laboratory and everything's like bubbling out of his test tubes. I put all that dry ice in that colored water, baby. That's me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Billy West has the best stories because he had his Italian restaurant in New York, and Billy West would go, and he would just like Al Lewis would barely tolerate people asking stupid questions. So, yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, whatever. Very, very funny. So, and he scared. Apparently, this little girl said, "Were you on the Munsters?" He said, "Yeah, I was." And he goes, "Where did you live?" And he went 1313 Mockingbird Lane and scared the shit out of the kid. And apparently, Al Lewis just looked up and shook his head and went, "Women." Little girl. Oh God.
Do that no more.
Of course. Indeed, Mario, you're right. He's also in at the very end. Michael J. Fox's movie "Secret of My Success." He's one of the big investors and everything. Oh, no, I don't remember this movie. Chemdog, Disorganized Crime with Fred Gwynn. Oh. Man, we're getting the Fred Gwynn movie filmography.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox movie, the one with Joan Jett, "Light of Day." You remember Light of Day? They had that song "Just Around the Corner" to "Light of Day." That was written by Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, that's cool. That's
useless information, but I never did buy Michael J. Fox as a rock star. It just didn't work for me.
Hey, let's go, guys.
Hey, Joan, come on, let's rock.
Yeah, Fred also in Pet Sematary. You're right, Brad. Very true. Absolutely. God, I was actually, and it's funny that we bring up Michael J. Fox. Amazon started running Spin City reruns. They're on Amazon Prime. I forgot how many sexual innuendo jokes that show would. I mean, really, you'd have to cut half the script because and Michael Boatman, the great character actor, he plays a gay guy on the show, and there's a lot of gay jokes on there that wouldn't fly today. Alan Ruck.
Alan Ruck, yeah.
He's like kind of the smart ass of the show.
Day Off, yeah.
And he's all.
And then Richard Kind was on the show too.
Kind, Chicago's very own, absolutely.
Connie Britton,
the beautiful Connie Britton, also on that show.
Barry Bostwick, our founding father, George Washington himself. I remember when that was on that miniseries, George Washington. It was like,
oh yes, because I thought it was like maybe an Abe Lincoln vampire hunter, because I know he played FDR, who was like a zombie hunter. That Bostwick did that movie in like the last 10 years or so.
I remember the first time I ever saw Barry Bostwick. He was the lead in the George Washington miniseries that was on TV.
I think Rocky Horror was the first thing I saw him in.
Well, this was before. Yeah, this was before I saw Rocky Horror, though. But
okay, before given that we're still kind of in the post-Halloween period, did you guys ever do a Friday midnight showing of Rocky Horror and do the whole audience participation thing?
The first time I ever did it was in college, and I didn't know. Like I grew up in a very restaurant bubble. I never went anywhere, did anything, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see it because they showed movies all the time. And I'm like, oh, they're showing this one on whatever date. I'm gonna go. Everybody was dressed up. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then like people were like shouting at the screen. I'm like, wait, sit down. I'm trying to watch the movie. I didn't know. I was,
Good stuff.
Hey, just as to tie it back to something we were talking about earlier, I text Skoke and I told him, "Hey, we're live on the All Yeah Pod. You should tune in to watch." Guess how he replied?
Denied. Not my interest. Not to my interest.
Yep.
See?
He said
See that-
decline, not to my interest.
that's because he was probably listening to us anyway. Hey, you know what I was thinking about the other day? Since we brought up Joan Jett and Michael J. Fox on Light of Day.
Yeah.
There's sometimes they remake old songs, and
Sure.
because I remember that song came on the radio the other day. And
Light of Day? Really?
Light of Day, because
Wow.
Eddie Van Halen's son has a show on XM, Wolf Van Halen, and he does it with his wife sometimes. He has a different guest on every time, but they played that song, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't know it was written by Bruce Springsteen. But then it got me thinking, because then one of the other songs that came on later on when I was in the car was Supertramp, and the Goo Goo Dolls redid that song. What's the name of it? It's escaping me right now.
Take the Long Way Home, Goodbye Stranger, Breakfast in America,
one
Dreamer.
of those. I don't know. Anyway.
But they did a Supertramp song?
They did a Supertramp. The Goo Goo Dolls did, but I like the original Supertramp version better.
Sure.
And then it got me thinking about what old song would you remake that wasn't remade that could be remade better today? Like, what old song was not as well received or So I was thinking about this, and you know what I came up with?
Go ahead.
Olivia Newton-John had a song called "Twist of Fate" when she was in some
Right,
movie with John Travolta.
that was the second Travolta movie she made. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So where they had like a second chance where they fell in love, haven't intervened or something like
They
that.
fall in love.
Two of a Kind, I think it was called. Excuse me. It was called Two of a Kind, and
Yep.
she had a song on there called "Twist of Fate," which I really like. I like that song, and I'm thinking, oh, they should remake. Why don't they remake that song? Why doesn't somebody remake that song but better?
That's interesting. I vaguely remember the song, certainly. It's funny talking about songs. Have you guys, it's only been out for a day now, the new Beatles song. Is that ironic?
Oh, I heard that today.
Now
I
and
haven't
then.
heard it.
All right. So again, there's no spoilers. I mean, you're going to hear it. Scoop.
No,
There is
okay.
a spoiler. He hasn't heard it yet.
Yeah. But what did you think of the song, Franco? Do you have any thoughts beyond,
Well, I saw that it was. I'm like, a new Beatles song, and I turned it on. I'm like, what did they do? How did they do? The video is interesting. The song, not so much. I think it's weird. It's
Well, they used that same AI technology that they did
Right.
for Get Back.
yeah.
Thankfully now, because if you go back to Free as a Bird and Real Love, when you hear Lennon sing, it's like, it's very murmury because it was from a cassette and they couldn't isolate his voice from the piano that he did for the demos, etc. So now they can, which is great, and you can really hear him clearly. But it reminds me of Free as a Bird in a way that my good friend Terry Hemmert, who literally is celebrating her 50th anniversary as a rock and roll DJ, which is pretty amazing. But she was at the rock station with me at WXRT, still is. And I remember when the Beatles anthology came out and Free as a Bird came out, and I appreciated it, but she's like, oh, I hate it. And I'm like,
I didn't like it then, but I think I've grown to appreciate it over time. Now I appreciate it more than I did then. But go ahead, keep going.
Well, and no, and by that thinking, she's like, it just sounds like a funeral dirge, and I'm like, yeah. And now it's appropriate for these last handful of Beatles songs. Although I can't stand Real Love, I think you get diabetes when you listen to Real Love. It is so treacly sweet. But Free as a Bird, and because Free as a Bird is almost like, all right, I'm dead, and now the phoenix rises from the ashes and flies away. And I feel like Now and Then really sounds a lot like, next time, Franco, if you're curious, listen to Now and Then and Free as a Bird together. And it really does feel like they're cut from the same basic music and stuff. And it's, I appreciate it for what it is. But I am a little
it's weird because I didn't like it when it came out, but I think now when it comes on the radio now, because I have the Beatles channel on Sirius XM,
Sure.
it'll show up every once in a while, and I'm like, oh, this song's not so bad. But I heard the song today because I saw it online, and I'm like, oh, is it? I'm like, this is a new Beatles song, and I listened to it, and I saw the video. The video was kind of cool because they take clips from different things and older and younger George Harrison and stuff like that. But then I got in the car and I heard it again without the visuals, and I'm like, oh, this song just isn't really holding up. But I'm wondering, in about 30 years from now, if I'm still here, if I hear it, if it's a thing like, oh, it's been on the radio enough, and now I associate it as a Beatles song, if it'll, because that's the way I do with Free as a Bird now. But yeah.
Well, yeah, it has a finality, both Free as a Bird and Now and Then, that I think fits. And it is kind of like, all right, these are literally the last songs.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, and if you look at it that way, it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I don't know. I would have liked something a little happier and a little peppier, but that's me. People have answered your question, Franco. Matt says he would remake Blinded by the Light.
Oh, there you go.
Wrapped up like a douche.
Well, that was already done. But that was that one can't go into the list because it was redone, because it was a Springsteen song, and then the douches did it.
Man for Man. Yeah.
Man for Man. Yeah.
Brad says he also likes Twist of Fate.
Yeah, because
I didn't know
taste.
And I didn't know this, Chem Dog, but apparently the Zombies have a new album, and of course, Zombies Time of the Season and Tell Her No, which and She's Not There was another zombie song. She's Not There was remade by Santana, and a very good 70s version of She's Not There. That's different from the 60s pop version.
Didn't the Stones just release a new album like this year or last year or something like that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Man, you look at those two groups, the Stones and the Beatles. Man, look at their trajectory. And the Stones are still putting together stuff, and I didn't like the Stones. I've grown to like them over the years. Tolerate them and appreciate them more over the years. But I didn't like them. I was a big Beatles guy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was not a hardcore Rolling Stone fan, and I grew up with a lot of hardcore Rolling Stone fans. But you go back, man, and like the Some Girls album is amazing, and so many great albums. And right now they're kind of obviously drifting on their laurels and stuff, and and that's fine. That's cool.
Well, they're allowed to, I think.
Yes, 100%. Well, that's the weird thing is, they were always number 2 to the Beatles.
Right.
Back in the 60s and early 70s. That said, got to give them credit for still pumping out material and shit. So, Oh, this is interesting. I agree with Mike. Mike likes When We Was Fab, which is George Harrison talking about. He did that song, and then he also did All Those Years Ago. Was a nice.
Right, but those were years gone by now.
Oh yeah, that was that was solo George Harrison stuff.
Yeah, solo George Harrison stuff. I like those songs. They include them on the Beatles stuff all the time, on the Beatles channel and stuff like that. But those are George Harrison songs. They're very Beatle-esque, but they're So now we're talking nerd music crap.
And like the songs from the new songs from Beatles Anthology. All that George Harrison stuff was produced by Jeff Lynne from Electric Light Orchestra. Yeah, and the Traveling Wilburys, and he also produced the Wilburys albums. And and ELO was always kind of a Beatle-esque 70s.
Well, he was a big Beatles fan.
Yes.
So yeah.
Matt says, "I feel
we
bad."
Went down a deep dive on that one, didn't we?
No, it was good. I feel bad for huge bands like the Stones because I'm sure they want to play their new material. But then they know that no one is coming to hear their stuff. Matt, I don't think
they play both. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really, as much as they'll play new stuff, they know the drill. And I think as long as people are paying money to see them, they're very happy. They don't care.
I think, because I think they thread that needle. Because I saw Joan Jett recently, and she played a bunch of new stuff that I had never heard before, which was pretty cool. But, when she played the old stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, Joan Jett.
As was it Chem Dog that said that Chem Dog said that the Zombies have a new album. When I was still working at the Album Rock station in 2015, Santana had a new album and Journey had a new album where Greg Rowling was singing lead. Steve Perry had long left the band, but both sounded like 70s Santana and 70s Journey in the best ways. and I was really surprised that we were running commercials for the new albums that I had to make from using music from the album. And I went to our program director, and
What year was this?
2015.
Okay.
And I'm like, why aren't we playing these new albums? We play so much Santana and Journey music. Why not? And the answer was, well, people like to hear the hits.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but we're a relevant station. And also, they did play a little bit of Bowie's Black Star last album that was released just weeks before he passed away. As soon as he died, they stopped playing it. And it's just like, you know, we're supposedly classic rock. These are classic rock acts that are showing that if you listen to their music, their fans will be happy because they're still making relevant music. And it's like, you guys are such idiots. And I'm not saying that I know everything, but it's just like, you know, this is why people turn to Sirius and XM as opposed to listen to traditional radio. Because I even remember we had like a playlist of 700 songs. And while I was there that year, they cut it down to 500. They eliminated 200 songs. It's like, you guys don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, good luck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. With that's the weird thing. We're getting on such a weird rant here, but technology being the way it is. Yeah, see, a new album just came out a few weeks ago. Sorry, D. Brad said a Rolling Stone this album just came out a few weeks ago. Technology the way it is and the way it's moving so fast. I don't know that I know. Well, I think I just kibosh my own argument because I heard the new Beatles song on because it was online, but I don't hear new music as it comes up the way I used to, like, on radio and stuff like that. Yep. And I learned maybe about 2-3 weeks ago that I think it was Blink-182. I could be wrong. Maybe not them, but they did "We Didn't Start the Fire," the Billy Joel song.
I heard it.
They did new lyrics to it.
Yes.
And it's been out for a while apparently.
Yes.
And I just heard it like about 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm like, what is it? These are not the words I know. And then I had to look it up, and I can't remember the name of the band right now. I think it was Blink-182. I'm not sure.
I'll look it up while we're talking.
But I'm like, this is not good. And then I saw some interview with Billy Joel on stage talking about these guys doing the new version. And he goes, it's just word salad. It's not very good.
Well, yeah, no, it was Fall Out Boy.
Fall Out Boy, that's what it was. Yeah,
Chicago's very own Fall Out Boy.
Because I was like, oh, maybe I want to listen to this because I caught the tail end of it, and
yeah, it's not that good. It's not that good. Like 9/11 is referenced and everything.
Right, but apparently they left COVID out altogether, and it just came.
Oh, I didn't realize. We should look up the new lyrics. I did, and it's ironic timing, Scoot. Bobby Knight dying this week. Indiana University basketball coach. But when he got fired, I did a song and did a bunch of replacement lyrics. I don't even remember, but I just remember the chorus was, "We didn't want Knight fired." So no, it's ChemDog. It is not Blink-182. It is Fall Out Boy.
Yes,
I've confirmed that. Online.
Because I'm saying Blink-182 because that's who I thought it was, but it's not. Yeah,
or maybe he's just saying like, yes, Blink-182, like a reference.
Yeah,
to
maybe.
Blink, which I respect. That's cool. That's fine.
Although that would hurt, right? Because you have to blink
182 times
repeatedly.
Yeah, maybe.
See, these are the stupid jokes I would tell my kids. Like, I would tell them about the time I met 21 Pilots or I saw 21 Pilots live. And they're like, you did? I'm like, yeah, I was at the airport just the other day.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to say they only saw 18 of the 21 Pilots. They had a couple members down.
Yeah.
Mike Jones says saw something where Van Morrison says to audiences, give him an hour for his newer stuff, then you'll get the hits. Yeah.
But I also heard that Van Morrison is a weird guy and not very pleasant.
Yeah, well,
what I've heard.
Joe Jackson, also another temperamental artist, but I love his music, and I love Van Morrison's music. The only thing is, you get a TV producer like Aaron Sorkin, who just beats certain songs to death, and I can't even remember the name of it, but it is a album cut on Moondance that if you heard it, you would immediately know the song. And I love Van Morrison, but like I never need to hear Brown Eyed Girl or Moondance ever again.
Yeah.
And another one that
Those are
Sorkin
the
would
only
always,
two songs I know.
another song that Sorkin always uses when people are tense, he'll always play Under Pressure, Queen
Right.
of David Bowie.
Yeah.
And it's
Love
like,
that song.
find another song. Eminence Front, another one that he overplays on a lot of his TV shows.
Well,
So
when you find something you like,
I guess.
stick with it.
Matt says, when I first saw Rush the very first time, they did 2 sets. First, they played their newest album, which was Clockwork Angels. Then they played 2 hours worth of their own material with an orchestra. That's cool.
Hmm.
That would be great. Chemdog says Queen is his favorite band of all time.
Why would it be?
I remember when Under Pressure was brand new. I was a junior in high school. Loyola University here in Chicago would have a weekend college radio conference for college stations and high school stations, and we were invited to go. And I forget the which record label released Under Pressure, but a lot of the labels would have parties in their room, and that's where we first heard in 1982 Under Pressure for the very
Wow.
first time. And it was really exciting hearing Bowie and Freddie Mercury singing.
Yeah.
That
What was
amazing.
that like? Like, yeah, because you guys, you couldn't get any girls to go out with you. So what was
Exactly.
that?
We're all a bunch of
How
losers.
exciting! How exciting was this?
Yeah,
One year
watching
for the-
cartoons.
One year for the radio conference, Greg Kinn's band. Remember Greg Kinn?
Yeah, I lost on Jeopardy.
Oh,
Oh, that was Weird Al. Yeah.
But yeah, and they don't write them like that anymore. They
Yeah.
don't write
Right
'em
on
like that
the-
anymore.
yeah.
He was and his whole band, and it was like awesome. And he was in a red pleather jacket,
Nice.
very very MTV looking and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty funny. So, okay, Cherry, is this the same Cherry Bomb song that they play in Guardians of the Galaxy, which I love? Cherry Bomb from the Howard.
Cherry Bomb, the song.
Oh, that's the band. That's Leah Thompson's band.
Yeah.
You know, I will confess, I've never seen Howard the Duck. the
Come on,
movie.
Johnny.
It's awesome when Howard the Duck
again-
and Leah Thompson get in bed together.
It's a George
kinda hot.
Lucas movie.
I'm
Yeah.
aware of that.
It's kind of hot.
And a Marvel movie, an early Marvel movie.
Kind of hot.
No, like, did I already say this on the air? Yeah, you know, when I again, instead of Thundercats, Howard the Duck movie, and Transformers and G.I.
Yeah.
Joe, I
We're
was
trying to
trying to get girls.
yeah.
Right, a little too busy trying to get. Hey, want to see
Girls.
Howard the Duck? Hey, where are you going?
Girls didn't like comics.
Not back then, buddy.
They do
No.
now.
I really.
I don't believe you.
Oh my God! Yes, Chemdog remembers one of the album titles for Greg Kinspiracy. Sure.
Yeah. hmm
I lost on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Baby.
It's funny that he became really famous for the "I Lost on Jeopardy" Weird Al song that he did for his own songs.
Well, he still got money from them. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the great thing about those parodies. Like
Mhm.
the original songwriters absolutely get paid. So
Yep.
you know another version of that. Remember Frankie Goes to Hollywood? Relax.
Relax.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah.
I believe it was either on Two Tribes, their follow-up hit, or Relax. They put the Jerry and the Pacemakers 60s song Ferry Cross the Mersey because they were from Liverpool as well. And they almost felt like Jerry never got his due because of being eclipsed by the Beatles as they were. And so they put Ferry Cross the Mersey on one of their B-sides of their singles, and he made just as much money as they did on the hit.
Well,
Because it was on the. See, I got useless information, Francis.
Yeah.
You're not the only one.
well, isn't that why Taylor Swift is redoing her albums and doing them as Taylor's versions, because the old guy has the old guy, the guy that signed her, whatever, has the rights to all that stuff or
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
right? And she's like, screw you. So now I think I read somewhere recently that now bands that are being signed to record labels, they can't re-record their music for 20 or 30 years after the release or something like that. So it was something to do with the read your contracts because in the contracts you can't re-record it like Taylor's doing because of her, basically. They're putting these clauses in and yeah.
I would think that, obviously if a band wants that taken out, they will. But also, you're right. I really got into oldies in the 80s.
No, you
And there were, yeah, massively so. And I know. And to the point where I was buying greatest hits albums of like, 60s and 70s rock. And it was weird because every now and then you'd get screwed and there would be from the original artist a newer version. And more times than not, they sucked. And you could, it was just so, not even in the good way where you see a band live. Okay, fine. You're going to see not the studio version of the song. I can live with that. But yeah, it was like, wait a minute, Lightning Strikes by Lou Christie. This is not the same as the original. Brad thinks they were K-Tel records. No, Brad, the K-Tel records were the original hits, but a lot of times they would cut off the song earlier than the actual original release. So there might only be 2 minutes of a 3-minute song, which was kind of a really
why was that? Just
to fit more songs on the album.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
20 hits, 20 original hits from the original stars.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
I used to get a lot of music for a penny. I remember that.
Oh, the Columbia Record Club, the worst deal in the world.
Yep.
I'm sure there might be members that still are getting vinyl, whether they want.
Did you guys get those mini records with your birthday song on them?
Not with the birthday song, no.
Happy birthday, Johnny. Stuff like that.
No. I remember, and I talked about it with Victor Gorlick, the former head of Archie Comics, because I was fascinated by Sugar Sugar. Mm-hmm. Sugar Sugar did so much good for Archie Comics, and the Archie franchise in general. And I remember when I was a little kid, you could have some cereal box. The back of cereal boxes actually had a record.
On it, right? Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. But
you would cut out the cardboard and it had like a vinyl coating on it, and you could play it as I remember that.
So I remember that. And I also remember what they called Flexo discs, and they were really thin plastic that was cut like a record, but you had to put a penny on the tone arm and the needle so that the record didn't just so it would actually like stay on the groove and play the song and stuff. So
the Archies, the group, wasn't it like a studio created band? Like they picked members from here and like just studio session musicians or something?
Yeah, like that? Ron Dante was the lead singer, but he was a studio singer. And there was a song by another studio band called the Cufflinks, and they had a hit with the song Tracy. Tracy, when I'm with you, something you do bounces me off the ceiling. And it's Ron Dante again. And the great story behind Sugar Sugar was Don Kirshner, the producer, wanted to give it to the Monkees. And that's when Mike Nesmith is like, no, F you. We're only, because the first two albums,
we're doing our own music.
It was Boyce and Hart were the writers, a lot of session musicians. They would sing, back up, and lead. But like Peter Tork told a story where he came to a record session with his guitar, and they're like, why do you have that? And he goes, I thought I was going to play on the record. They're like, oh, no, all the music is done, we just need you to sing. And he's like, what the hell is that? So the two real musicians of the Four Monkeys were Peter and Mike.
Right. So
they made a big stand. And in fact, I mean, it's so crazy their timing of doing it. But Don Kirshner came literally with $1 million checks for the band because the two first albums did so well. And he's like, and I got a whole slate of new songs for you. And Mike Nesmith punched a hole in the wall and said, that could be your face. So Kirshner backed off and knew he had a hit record. And so he assembled the Archies, and the rest is history. That was the biggest song of 1969.
Yeah.
Sugar Sugar.
So, but, and I don't know if you know this, but how, because now we're getting deeper into the weeds on this one. How did they come up with the name, the Archies? Did they license it from them or
yeah,
what?
Well, he went to, because, it was a teen comic book and comic strip. And, no. They did it in partnership with Archie Comics.
Oh, wow.
So, remember those great cartoons of them playing?
Yeah.
And Betty played the organ.
Yep.
Let me tell you, Betty did a hell of a job on the organ.
Yeah.
All right.
She knew how to work that organ.
And Veronica played the tambourine. Exactly. Veronica played the tambourine.
Mm-hmm.
Jughead was on the drums. Reggie, I assume, was the bass player, and Archie was the lead guitar. And Hot Dog would orchestrate. He would stand and lead the band.
wonder how many people thought that those were the Archies were the band members. The cartoon versions were the actual band members.
Well, there was the one Saturday morning series that was called Everything's Archie, and they Ron Dante sang the theme song. Everything's Archie, Archie's here, Reggie too. Oh my God, dude! I'm telling you, I was 5 years old, and that was like my absolute favorite. That's why I still love Archie. I had an Archie fan. I told Victor this, and I'm pretty sure I told Mike this as well. I had an Archie fan club membership card.
Oh boy,
that's how into the Archies I was. I loved the Archies.
Victor was awesome when we were, because we did the Tiny Titans Archie crossover.
Yeah, little Archie. Yeah,
and we were talking to him, like we ran into him at an airport once, and we were talking to him, and we had him laughing so much, he was like doubled over laughing, and then he told us to go away because he needed to stop laughing. He's like, my flight's go away, go over there, like don't come near me anymore, because we were making him laugh so hard.
My favorite Victor story, and unfortunately, well, it's not horrible, but that first year of the New York Comic Con when they brought it back in 06 or 07, and it was only in one room, the entire convention, and the fire marshal came and locked down the room. So you could not enter if you left the room.
Right.
Like they would let 10 people at a time leave, and then they would allow 10 new people to walk in. And there was this massive line, and I remember seeing DiDio waiting to get in. He's like, "All right, what am I going to do? I got to wait. I don't know what to tell you." Yeah. And I was laughing, and he's like, "All right, it is what it is."
Yeah.
Victor was incensed, and he's literally telling the fire marshal, whoever was running the door, "I am the president of Archie Comics. I demand to be let in that room." And the guy's like, "I don't care who the hell you are. You're gonna wait here in line like everybody else. Just shut up and be quiet." And it's like, all right. Victor.
Thank you.
Yep. But yeah, Brad is right. No, they sang new songs on every episode. Who remembers the name of the follow-up hit to Sugar Sugar?
Oh, I think it was Salt Salt, right?
No, but it was alliterative. It was two words that start with the same consonant.
Oh.
That's my only hint.
Cinnamon.
It was not cinnamon. No, that's the stripper theme song.
Oh, right.
Put your hands together for cinnamon.
Baby.
Yeah.
Close. Jingle jangle.
Jingle Jangle. That's close to Baby. Jingle Jangle.
Paulie's a pretty good name. What are you going to do?
Jingle Jangle was the jingle for Jive candy bar, I believe.
Yeah.
Jive.
Paulie's a pretty good name. He died too.
Exactly. Yeah.
He just died.
Yeah.
Paulie just died. My gosh.
Francis, we are so off our game with our celebrity death march that we would do.
Matthew Perry and everything.
Yeah.
Perry, Suzanne Summers, Dick Butkus.
The reason my thighs are in the shape they are is because of Suzanne Summers. And I never had a thigh master.
Interesting. In the early 90s.
That one's going to get me in trouble. I'm lucky I'm not at school anymore. See, now I can say these things.
Now you can say these things.
Yeah.
Early 90s, there was a trade show at McCormick Place where we have C2E2. And it was for mom and pop, like 7-Eleven stores, but independent. 7-Eleven style, like bodegas, depending on the city that you live in. And I was there because this is when I was still writing for Boxing Illustrated, and my buddy Bert Sugar, who was the publisher, was coming in, and he was going to have just like kind of a Comic-Con signing, 2 hours at the Warner Books booth. And he had a book called The 100 Greatest Boxers of All Time. But also at the time, Leon Spinks, the former heavyweight champion who beat Ali, was living in Chicago. And he's like, "All right, listen, can you come with me? It's on a Monday." And I was working at a bank full time at the time, not in radio. And he goes, "Can you come with me?" And we kind of need to babysit Leon. Otherwise, he's going to wander away. I'm never going to find him and stuff. And I'm like, "All right, no problem." And so I stood with them. And if Leon had to go to the bathroom, I would kind of, go with her. I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry, Leon. I'll show you where the bathroom is and stuff, and I'll wait for you, and then that way you can come back to the booth." And it was great. Leon was on good behavior. I know I've told this story before, but then we just, after the 2-hour autograph session was done, then he's like, "Oh, let's check out what else is here. I know there's a lot of celebrities here." And Scoot, John Havlicek, the old Boston Celtic,
Yeah,
he was there, and he was pimping Skoll tobacco pouches, just a little bit between your cheek and gum.
You never see that now.
Yeah, no kidding, exactly. Steve Miserak, the great pool player, was there for light beer, and because he did a light beer commercial, and Lee Meredith, who was the original blonde, sexy bombshell in the film The Producers, she did a light beer commercial with Mickey Spillane, the Mike Hammer creator, the mystery writer.
Oh, I remember those. Yeah,
and she was the hot leggy blonde that was standing with Mickey Spillane. But they were there signing autographs. Suzanne Summers was there with the Thigh Master.
Yes, she was.
And it was great because Leon, being a former heavyweight champion, a lot of the celebrities would go to the big fights. So Suzanne Summers gets up. Oh, hi, Leon. Gets up, gives him a big hug and stuff. And but as I've said before, we walked past the Nabisco booth, and there's this giant box of Ritz crackers, whatever. And we hear that you immediately recognize the voice. Go, hey, Leon. And the three of us turn around, and in unison, all of us go, hey, it's Chubby Checker. And it was. And at that point, I turned to Bert, and I'm like, what are we, in a Love Boat episode? What the hell's going on? It was so
awesome.
funny. No, man, I never met Spuds McKenzie, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, yeah.
However, one of the party girls that was with Spuds all the time married. Oh God, now his name just escaped me. Former Chicago Bear, really smart, Gary Fensick.
Dick Butkus.
No, Gary Fensick, who was a Yale graduate and very, very smart, along with being a great football player. But his wife was one of the Spuds McKenzie party girls.
Nice.
So I did meet her.
Speaking of old shows, you remember Fall Guy?
Of course. Yes, tell me. Did you watch the trailer?
Did you see the trailer for the
Not yet.
I want to see the movie. It looks pretty good.
Ryan
Gosling, yeah, and Emily Blunt. And it looks pretty good. And the actor's name from Black Panther, the
Martin Freeman, the British guy?
No, the other king, the tribe.
Oh, the warrior. Yeah, the warrior
clan.
M'Baku.
Yeah.
M'Baku, the guy who played M'Baku. I forget his name.
Yeah, me too, but I know who you're talking about.
He's in it as well. But it looks pretty cool. It's and I'm like, oh, how are they going to do this? Because he's a stuntman who does bounty hunting on the side.
Right.
You know? But it's pretty good because like he's in a movie. He's a stuntman in a movie, and the star goes missing, and the stuntman is in love with the director, Emily Blunt, and if the star doesn't show up, they're all going to go down the tube. So she sends him to go find the star, basically. So and then he gets into a whole bunch of trouble. The premise looks pretty cool, and I like Ryan Gosling, but yeah, we'll see.
Menace was raving about it yesterday. He was telling me too. So,
oh, really? About the Fall Guy movie?
Oh, yeah. Well, we were laughing because, it's like, and again, he's like, my wife was making fun of me. She's like, why are you watching this? He goes, you don't remember that 80s show with Lee Majors? Yeah. And he's like, why did I watch that show? I'm like, because it's the $6 million man.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you nuts?
And it didn't hurt that Heather Thomas, not to be confused with Heather Locklear, because they both look kind of alike. And we lived in a world in the same time that both of them were on TV a lot. So,
well, and in the opening credits, they would always have her coming through the swing doors in the string bikini. And it's like, wow. I'm sorry, your name again?
Yeah. in the words of a great man, hamana, hamana, hamana. Yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, Brad says he loved the Fall Guy theme song that Lee Majors, of course, sang.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic.
I'm the Unknown Stuntman. That was the name of the song, Unknown Stuntman.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And also, as Matt said, and I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I saw that too.
New Apes trailer.
Yeah.
Yo, man.
They're still not wearing any pants, which disturbs me a little bit, but okay.
Yeah, and again, I'm rooting for these movies, but there's just a charm about those Arthur Jacobs produced original 5.
Yeah, because they had pants on.
Yes, that did help that they had pants.
Yeah.
It's like they are slowly trying to show where they get, but they're still in that slow part. And it's like, all right, speed it ahead. I want to see.
Yeah, but you don't freely have your monkey junk swinging out there. You need pants to contain your monkey junk.
Maybe that'll be the big revelation at the end of this. Like Caesar will be like, we have to wear pants.
From now on, we wear pants.
That's the next movie.
Yeah, they wear pants.
With pants.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Mike says, and I've never seen this episode, but Battle of the Network Stars had the Heather face-off. Bless
Yeah.
YouTube. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
man. That was the greatest trash. I mean, you can't even call it reality TV, but that show, Battle of the Network Stars, and you had Cosell and
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
the,
And they came on infrequently, but when they did,
Every
you would
year.
watch them because, man, Linda Carter in a bathing suit, and then Gabriel Kaplan outrunning Robert Conrad. That was a big controversy. Let me tell you.
yeah, the whole thing, because it was like 10 or 15 minutes of the show that they thought ABC was cheating at the relay race. And Robert Conrad was the captain of the NBC team, and he's the one who declared cheating. And then Gabe Kaplan was the captain of the ABC team. Meanwhile, Telly Savalas is
Telly
the captain
Savalas.
of the CBS team.
He's smoking in a
Yes,
tracksuit.
he's in a tracksuit and he's chain smoking, and he's like, "Oh, and this is completely unfair. You've got ABC and NBC rerunning the race. We should also be involved." And Telly Savalas calling controversy in this thing. And finally, they
As he's
decided-
blowing smoke in Howard Cosell's
Yes.
face.
Yes. All right, listen, I got to do the obstacle course in 10 minutes. So let me finish this butt, and then I'll keep talking. And
People
the
say I
best
have
is-
an unfair advantage because of my hairless head, but
The
What was
Hollywood
the-
Reporter, I'm sorry, Scoot, the Hollywood Reporter had Gabe Kaplan write an article last year or 2 years ago about the whole thing.
oh
and,
really?
and it was great because also Gabe Kaplan revealed that he was wearing kind of a partial toupee
Right.
because he had a receding hairline during Cotter. And he was wearing it because he knew he was going to be on camera for Battle of the Network Stars. So Robert Conrad is a athlete badass. He was an amateur boxer. Even in his 50s, was in like the shape of a guy 20 years younger. So
Yeah.
he challenges Gabe Kaplan in this race. And he goes, what Robert didn't know was, being younger, I also was a runner back in high school and college. But because of his hairpiece, when you watch this, and it's on YouTube, everybody, you got to see it. He's like the Flash, where there's literally like a comet tail of hair. As he's running, part of his hair is absolutely pulled back and out from his head and everything. And it is so great to watch schlubby Gabe Kaplan beat Robert Conrad in an honest-to-God 50-yard dash. And Conrad, good sportsman, he's like, he beat me fair and square. That's all I was looking for raising the stink. I'm satisfied, Oh, so funny. So funny.
That was good stuff.
I love
Did
that
they
shit.
try to bring that back not too long ago? But they had like, the cameraman from Bosom Buddies or something. Like they had the strangest. Like I didn't know any celebrities on there.
Yes.
Well, you know what's weird is they had when I was growing, well, not when I was like older in like high school and college, MTV would always do their challenge show, which was like all their reality shows.
Yep.
They would have like a summertime show called The Challenge, and it would be like Real World Guys, Road Rules, all their different shows. So that was kind of similar, because I feel like when I was a little kid, I remember maybe the late 80s was the tail end of that Battle of the Network Stars, because I can remember the special presentation, the Battle of the Network Stars, and then as a little kid,
Fat
I was
Albert
just
will not be seen tonight.
yeah, exactly. I was always disappointed because I'm like, I don't know any of these people.
Shatner was on one year, I remember, and Doug McClure. Ed Asner was on the CBS team, and it would always end with a tug of war where each network would have a team doing a tug of war and stuff. And Cosell gave it his all as if he was calling a Super Bowl. The intensity on Ed Asner's face as he pulls the rope.
And didn't they switch networks every year too?
Probably.
Was it always on the same one?
ABC.
Oh, it was ABC, right? Yeah.
Then the other networks, I don't remember what CBS's show was, but I do know that on NBC they had a show called Us Against the World, and they would be international celebrity teams doing various sports and stuff. So yeah, Brad says they aired 2 a year, and Chemdog says they brought it back in 2017. Chemdog also remembers another, not only Cheryl Ladd and Linda Carter and the Heathers and stuff. Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh,
yes, always good to see Adrienne Barbeau.
And then there's Maude. Yeah.
And right on, Maude. Yeah, Maude never showed up.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it, Walter.
I'm not pulling anybody's tug of war.
They had the dunk tank. They had the celebrity dunk tank.
Yeah, well, yeah, Linda Carter swimming. Come on.
Yep.
Jeez.
I also remember, and Scoot, you were probably too young, but I don't know if you're aware of this show. It was called The Superstars, and it was on off like in the winter months on ABC, and they would have athletes do obstacle courses and like kind of track and field sort of events. And I remember they had a swimming competition, and Joe Frazier was in there. He couldn't swim, and he literally sank to the bottom of the pool. I think Joe Frazier is having trouble. We might want to get the lifeguards out
I
there.
think he's dying.
But OJ and an infamous duo doing the call with Cosell, OJ Simpson and Bruce Jenner.
Oh boy.
You know, so yeah, that shows you how long ago. Brad says indeed. Randy Oakes from Cheers, another fine woman. That was,
Yeah, Randy Oakes. Jeez Louise.
Well, I think I might get going here in a little bit, guys. I got to get up early tomorrow. I got to do a comic show here in Toledo.
Oh yeah.
that's right. Hey,
Yeah,
the former Jamie Farcon.
Yeah, the Toledo Comic Arts Festival. Yeah, so we'll see how it
Everybody
goes.
go see Scoot tomorrow.
Yeah, come see me 10 to 4 at the Toledo main branch of the Toledo Library.
No, absolutely.
It's free.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Guess what's right down the road too?
so is it Fife is going to be there?
Fife, Matt Fife will be there as well.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. I will say hi.
Fifi.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought it was Fifi.
No, it's
Yeah.
Fife.
Fifi. So nice.
All right,
All right. Well,
All right, guys.
follow us when you see us.
indeed.
It was a good run. It was good while we had it. Next
Yeah,
time we
no,
might
it's
have
good.
Art and or Skokie. on
Yeah, I'll
here.
believe it
We'll
when I
see.
see it. That's fine.
Follow us when
He'll
you
come
see
back
us.
eventually, everybody.
Decline.
We're gonna do not to my
to my-
interest.
By the way, I'm going to retitle this episode "Decline, Not to My." All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Good stuff.
Take it easy.